Hello and welcome to round 7 of the Wisconsin Regional Championship. This round we have two of OTB's very own in 2012 World Championship finalist Harrison Levin and 2013 World Championship top 16 competitor Mike Newman. Harrison has 2 Worlds qualifications under his belt, I believe, maybe 3. He has, a regionals win, and a second at a regionals, a states win, I believe. Mike Newman obviously has a states win and a regionals win as well. Both of these players on the bubble, so to speak, for this round. Maybe not live for top 8. We had an interesting situation where we had 8 rounds, but we almost had enough players to hit the 14-round mark. So it's going to be a very, very competitive top 8, and we think that some X and 2s will end up missing, which will be quite unfortunate. And as you can see, Harrison is playing Plasma, and Mike is playing Blastoise. Harrison getting almost everything he needs of the turn 1 Lugia with the DCE and the Colress machine. We see he has a laser in hand as well, and is just going to go ahead and pass the turn back to Mike. What do you think of Blastoise in general, David? I know it's one of the decks you haven't really talked about much as a deck you would play or anything.
Actually, I love Blastoise. Had I gotten onto the Stoice train early on, I think I would have stuck with it up until this point even. Because I think it's a very strong deck, especially, obviously, the top players have Beaches in their deck. And I had Beaches at one point to play a Blastoise, but I just never did. But I like it. I think it's super strong. I'm not sure where it stands in the format right now, beyond just being a top-tier deck.
Definitely. As I've spoken about in the past, I love Blastoise, and if I had been playing this season instead of doing coverage, I likely would have played Blastoise for pretty much the entire year. I think it's the most inherently powerful deck in the format. I think it's pretty consistent, even though you do need to hit up a stage 2 and buy back energy every turn, and I just feel like it's really a very, very strong deck. It's just the most just raw power and most just inherently powerful cards in the format. There's a second Squirtle by Mike Newman. It's going to be very important. A third Squirtle even. And there's a Tropical Beach. Drawing Mike 5 cards, it looks like. So you earned the 2012 Beaches, yeah?
Yes, I did.
Did you end up selling them later?
I still have the original page of Beaches that I received as a competitor, but I sold off some others I had acquired.
Right. We see Harrison with a huge start here. A Lugia attacking with another Lugia with a single Plasma Energy.
That's insane.
Yeah, on the bench there, he's going to go ahead and take 2 prizes off that. He has another Plasma Energy in hand, so if Mike doesn't get the knockout on this Lugia, Harrison go ahead and attack again. And Harrison doesn't have much else though. It seems strange to say that, but he doesn't have a Deoxys. I don't think he has a supporter. I guess he just drew this Juniper off the prizes actually. He has a Muscle Band in his hand. And that Juniper is going to be huge because Mike, it's so rough for Mike that Harrison drew it off the prizes, because now Mike just assumes Harrison doesn't have anything. You know what I mean? He assumes like, okay, well if I can weather this storm, maybe I can pull it off, but he doesn't know that Harrison's just going to be able to attach a Muscle Band, Tool Scrapper. I guess Mike doesn't play any tools, but Tool Scrapper for value, and then go ahead and slam the Juniper.
Tristan, we're waiting for you.
Mike going to go ahead and Ultra Ball. I know he plays Wartortle, so I assume that's what he's going for. But no, he just has the Blastoise. Okay, I didn't see the Rare Candy in his hand. My apologies. He is going to be able to go ahead and Rare Candy into Blast, which is really the first step, Anytime you can get a turn 2 Blastoise, as long as Mike has something to follow it up with, can be huge, but it doesn't look like he does, actually. He also might just be getting the Blastoise. No, there's a Rare Candy. I was going to say, one line that I could see from Mike, especially maybe not Mike because he plays War Turtle, but especially other players that don't play War Turtle, is just getting the Blastoise there and then beaching and thinning your deck out a bit and then hoping to draw into the candy. We don't see that play a lot because it reveals that you have the Blastoise, and it's pretty replicable. Mike does have the Colress there. Drawing 5 cards. That 5 cards is probably not going to be enough. I mean, if he draws 3 water and a lightning energy, it'll be huge, but he's really going to need to try something. And Mike and Harrison both teammates in his, on Team Hovercats, just like us.
Just like us.
We have all Hovercats stream here today, and very good friends, joking around with one another, just being playful. Both these guys know that they're not really going to hit their goal. Again, they're not eliminated from the tournament, but some X and 2s will miss, and Harrison needs a top 4 to seal up his invite, and Mike would actually need to win the whole tournament in order to get his invite off of league challenges. Both these players haven't been having the best of years, so it's kind of difficult for this to happen among friends, but they also know, hey, they had a pretty slight chance of hitting it either way. And Mike there with the triple deluge. Does he have a nice? I assume he would not be considering it if he just had the energy, had the fighting, or had lightning energy that he needs. He came very close.
So who do you think the favorite is for this series?
In general, I think that Blastoise is favored partially because Black Kyurem EX is 180, Black Kyurem EX is 180 HP, which is harder because then you do actually need 4 Deoxys and a Muscle Band in your Lugia to get there, which is still possible. We've seen it happen a lot, and it's not at all an issue. Oh, and Harrison has double catcher. And you gotta believe he's gonna hit this catcher. It's gonna be aimed right at a Blastoise. And here's the big flip. And no. Tails. Luckily, again, Harrison can do it over. And a heads for the Blastoise, and that might just seal up the game there. He's taking 2 prizes.
All 4 Plasma Energy I've seen play. That makes all the Colress machine in the deck absolutely useless right now.
True.
Good sportsmanship.
Yep. There's a no cards in hand. Juniper gets the. Oh no, he had the Chill Scrapper in hand. I think that's what Mike was protesting there a little bit.
Oh, Mike.
Oh, Mike.
What a guy.
And there's the Plasma Ball. And again, what we can see, I don't know if Mike has an N in his hand, but what we could see from Mike is the same thing that we kind of saw in Kyle Sukovic's last round, which is, Harrison gets far ahead, gets 4 prizes up, and then ends up getting end low and not being able to pull back from the game. But Harrison wisely there, Plasma Balling for the Thundurus to kind of save himself for that position, saying, I can start to get a field built up if I ever hit an energy regardless of what you do. And there's a Colress machine I'd like to see failed. And
he hasn't randomized his deck though after that Colress machine.
Oh, just players playing with a few shortcuts there. And also, it's really interesting to me that you can even play a Colress machine when you have all 4 Plasma Energy in play.
Well, that all comes down to the deck's knowledge. You don't know what is in the deck, and just because everything is out, there could still be another hypothetical energy.
Right. There's an interesting kind of little bit of minutia in the rules, how that works out. And there's a Dowsing machine. Gonna get a rare candy from Mike, and Mike also has a Juniper and an N in his hand. I'd like to see that N get fired off here. Don't think he can really do much better. And I think this is... Oh, Mike also has a superior energy retrieval, but he can get rid of the Juniper and whatever other cards in his hand just fine. He only get back those 2 waters, but I guess he might as well. Deluge, and then N. So you need to draw a lightning energy here. This is again, we could very well see the thing that happened in Kyle Sukovic versus Foisey's game, in that the Lugia player gets Sean Foisey, excuse me, gets very ahead, is just try and go for the see if we can get the turn 2 Black Ballista every time.
Find me a bagel.
And he just go for the turn 2 Black Ballista. Just Goldfish his deck, and if he didn't get turn 2 Black Ballista, he would like look through his deck and count his outs. And if he could get through the Black Ballista, he just would look through the list. My hand was like over it. All apologies for the audio issues there, folks. We're going to see a Game 3. Harrison Levin versus Mike Newman. Not the most exciting of games in the world. But hey, they've been pretty back and forth. We saw Harrison taking a huge lead Game 1 before Mike kind of tried to pull it back off of an N. Then Harrison finished him off. Then we saw Harrison pass with nothing in play on turn 2 in Game 2, and Mike just go ahead and get a turn 2 Black Ballista. Both these guys shuffling pretty extensively. What's your preferred shuffle technique, David?
I'm always about that riffle shuffle.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Don't care about damaging your cards or your sleeves?
Cards are meant to be played. That's all I have to say about that.
Fair enough. I would riffle shuffle, but I unfortunately am unable to.
Just like physically unable to?
I mean, I could teach myself to, but the issue is that I just always bend my cards too much to the point where like they wouldn't be playable if I riffle shuffled them for an entire game.
I've had Junipers since they came out, and I still use them to this day. And you could look at them, and they just so easily just fold in on themselves.
Right.
Just because of my shuffling over the years.
Yeah, I've seen players. I know James Good, 2013 World Championship semifinalist James Good. His cards have like a bend that you can see when he plays because of the way he shuffles. It kind of does the poker shuffle where it's kind of like a riffle, but you just kind of scoot them together and do it that way, and it's just very, very obvious the way he shuffles his cards when he plays, just by looking at them. But I'm a big fan of just the overhand, just kind of mash shuffle. Do that a few times and then call it a day. Both these players like playing a little bit of a practical joke on us here by shuffling so much.
Get on with it. Goodness.
Gonna have to call these boys for stalling.
Very funny, guys.
So while we're waiting, I guess another funny Harrison Levin story. So it's the Texas Marathon in 2012. We're in Plano, Texas. Can't remember where the tournament was at, but that's the city that we were all staying in. And I wasn't there for the story, but it's how it's been told to me. So I apologize if I get any mistakes incorrect, but if I make any mistakes. But the way that I was told the story goes is that Harrison flew to the event. So mind you, this is very important to the story. He flies in a plane to the event. He gets there, and so a marathon, for those of you who don't know, is a city championships marathon, which is a series of city championships over the course of a week or so, just all bundled together, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, usually, and Saturday, Sunday, usually the week of winter break, like right after Christmas. And these guys, we went to this marathon. David was there. David lived in Texas at the time, and Harrison flies to the event. A couple of days later, he gets lost. They're driving, and they can't find where they're going. They rented a car, I believe. They can't quite find where they're going, and everyone's kind of, like, oh, man, where's this card shop? Where's this card shop? We're in a state we don't know. And Harrison, from the back seat, reaches into his pocket, spills cards everywhere, reaches into his pocket, and pulls out a GPS. A global positioning satellite. Not a phone. He didn't pull out an iPhone. He still does not have a smartphone to this day.
But he has a GPS in his pocket.
Actual GPS sitting in his pocket. at an event that he flew to. The levels of that story. I mean, owning an actual GPS, carrying one around on a trip that you flew to, having it in your pocket at all times. The levels of that story are just absurd. And it was funny because that story kind of got passed around and everyone laughed. And then a few days after that, when they were leaving the Texas Marathon, Harrison's good friend Mike Canavis posted a picture of Harrison's pockets at the airport, like at the place where you go through security into your pockets, and there was just so much stuff. There was the GPS, there was a iPod to tape converter, there was like $8 and change, a big wad of receipts, a wallet, just so much so much stuff. So Harrison, there's one thing you can say about Harrison is that he's always prepared. Looks like we're finally getting a start to this game. Would not feel bad for these guys at all if this game ended in a draw. Doing the across the table hug.
It's a Hovercat tradition whenever you play one of your fellow cats.
Indeed.
To hug them across the table.
Indeed. A tradition as old as time itself. Harrison goes first. Draw for the turn is a Prism Energy. Harrison has no supporters in hand. Luckily has a plasma ball to fetch out something here, probably a Thunderous EX. But Harrison drawing poorly once again. Going to need to get something going quick to draw out of this. Harrison playing the correct art of switches, the Heart Gold Soul Silver ones.
Yes.
It's also I also will give you the what are they called? The ones with Porygon on them. What set is that?
Expedition?
Expedition. Or if you want to do it, I'll give you base set as well. Those are the only three that I'll accept.
No, the Lucario one is alright.
No, it's not.
I'm saying it's alright. It's not like the acceptable version. It's just alright.
Okay, it's okay.
And the Geodude one.
Geodude one. Don't think I've seen that one.
I think it was around during the EX set.
Interesting. I have to look that up. Dan Harrison playing that beautiful Heart Gold Soul Silver switch. I remember at the 2012 World Championships in Hawaii, I paid $4 for one of those switches because I couldn't find
For Heart Gold Soul Silver?
Reverse switch because it was only non-reverse in my deck. And I couldn't find one. No one had one besides this random seller. So for I want to say $4 or $5.
Okay, you guys, if you are
The extent you
In all
go.
honesty, probably the best deal I got in Hawaii. Hawaii's quite an expensive place. Did you stay on site that year?
I stayed at a hotel just down the road.
Oh, okay.
It was
Did you
a
have
short
car?
walk.
Oh, you had to walk?
Mm-hmm.
Great. What did you think of Hawaii?
It was beautiful. I loved it. I mean, even walking to and from the tournament each day was fantastic. And even at night, it was gorgeous.
Definitely.
Definitely a perfect tournament to prize one's shaman.
Speaking of Harrison stories, for those of you who might not know, Harrison Levin's playing in the finals of the 2012 World Championship. It's game 3 versus Portugal's Igor Costa, and I believe the play was he junk arms, so Harrison goes deep into the tank, realizes that he can win if he hits a Celebration Wind, which is Shaman's Poke Power, back when they were called Poke Power. They let you move all your energies to one of your Pokemon. Just let him move them. Could you move them around or just from one to one?
You could move all of them around.
Right,
just
however you want them.
completely rearrange the energy on your field.
So he plays a Junk Arm, which is an item finder, which is an item that says discard 2 cards and search your deck for an item. Plays a Junk Arm, gets an Ultra Ball. Is that the search card at the time? Gets some search card.
Yeah.
Gets Shaman. Looks through his deck, and I'll never forget. I was in the audience, and I'll never forget Harrison. Everyone going crazy. All the Hovercats, all the American players going crazy. Yeah, Harrison's gonna win. Looking through his deck, and then after Harrison gets to the end of his deck, his forearms just kind of fall onto the table. His head goes down. His hand goes over his head, and at that very moment, all the Portugal kids, there's not as many of them as there were Americans, obviously, but all the Portuguese players just start jumping up and down, screaming. And Harrison looks through the deck one more time, realizes that he does not have the Shaman is his last prize. Passes the turn back, and I think there's a GIF actually.
Yes, there are actual
like
GIFs of him just falling into his hands.
Yeah, and then there's a GIF at the end of Harrison like falling into his hands, shaking his head, and then like, just the camera just cuts to Igor's side of the board where he just throws down a catcher plus power and a prism energy on his Mewtwo to win the world championship. So it's a heck of a way to lose a world championship, that's for sure. I'd recommend that you go and watch that tournament coverage, but unfortunately the commentary is pretty darn bad. I know that we're goofing off a little bit in this game and having some fun telling some stories, but that commentary is pretty legendary for just the commentators having no idea what they were doing.
All those trash claws.
Trash Claw, that's what they called Dark Claw. Professor N, that's what they called N. Dark Spear, I think, was used. It's quite unfortunate.
If you couldn't tell, commentating has evolved over the years.
It's leveled up over the years, definitely. You know, actually, back then, even I applied to be a commentator for Worlds.
No kidding.
Yeah, just when I saw that they had a stream, or when I heard that they were streaming it, I just came to email Pokemon and said, hey, you know, I have never done this before either, as anyone else really, but I'd love to do it. And unfortunately, the commentary that year was being run by this video game website called GameSpot, which is part of the reason why, you know, it was so bad. I can't really blame them when they don't really know a whole lot about Pokemon, but definitely should have hired some outside help, I think.
Juniors, we have more prizing for scavenger.
And Harrison gets a knockout on Mike Squirrel. That's going to be pretty rough.
More prizes for the scavenger hunt.
Mike has no Squirtles in play. I'm not sure if he has a way to find it here. Can't see what's in his hand at all, but he's going to need one, and quick.
Here comes an N.
And there's the N. 6 cards ought to be enough to draw a Squirtle, but you never know. And players finishing shuffling off of their ends. And waiting for Mike to finish the shuffle. Shuffles have been pretty lengthy here at this tournament.
Well, I complained before. Now I'm eating my words.
And that's 6 cards. I don't think any of them rather, are a Squirtle. So Mike's just going to go ahead and activate Tropical Beach. Tries a Squirtle there, but a little too late. Too little too soon, it would seem. Harrison gets that second Deoxys. Mike showing his hand to the camera.
It's a lot of water energy.
His hand of water. Tropical Beach, Skyla, Squirtle. 7 cards. And the unfortunate thing for Harrison here is that he has filled his bench up with that Absol and that second Lugia. So it is going to be a while before he can get more Deoxys on board.
But he's in a good enough position at the moment that it doesn't really influence the game all that much.
Oh, definitely. He can afford to wait. Without a doubt. Just going to go ahead and end Mike out of his bad hands. Harrison might have thought Mike was kind of trying to fake him out there with the camera reveal of the hand. Both players going back to 6 cards. How do you feel about N's place in the game right now? Do you think it's too good? Do you think it's a nice balance to the game? Or do you think it's too frustrating?
It's pretty... I mean, it's very impactful on games.
Mm-hmm.
but otherwise, I think its place in the climate is benign. I don't think it's a plague. I don't think it's a godsend. It's just there, and people have gotten used to it.
Right.
If you're not adjusting your own playing throughout a game to compensate for your own ends or opposing ends, then you're obviously doing something wrong. Because at this point, there's almost no excuse to play poorly with respect to N.
Definitely, N's been around for so long.
And it's going to stay in the format for almost as long.
Definitely will not be retired this year, so I guess next year.
I'm not even sure about that because there was a recent N promo, league promo, that received a separate numbering.
Oh wow, so N's going to be around for the next few years.
I mean, we might see the rotation of Professor Juniper, but that's been replaced by Sycamore. So these card effects will keep the game, at least the engines, very similar.
Definitely. I'm gonna see Mike. Looks like Harrison just put Wordle from Mike's discard pile onto his bench. I think that's what happened, at least. Not quite sure. Didn't see the beginning of Mike's turn. He's too busy talking about Professor Sycamore versus Professor Juniper.
One is obviously better.
Juniper?
Juniper.
What's your favorite Pokemon generation, David?
I'm a big fan of the third generation games. And maybe even the third set of Pokemon.
Third generation Pokemon?
Yeah.
All the way? Fair enough.
I mean, none of the other generations have Skitty in it, so
Very true, very true.
naturally, third's going to be chosen.
Very true. And there's a Tropical Beach from Mike. The Plasma Energy is the top deck for Harrison. Still don't really understand this game that's being played. I don't know how much you can hear that in the background, but it's our TO and sponsor, Jimmy Ballard, is going through the juniors trying to get them to play some kind of scavenger hunt that I don't really understand. And Harrison's in the callers for 9 cards, quite a bit. So 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So I don't even think...
Gotta be on the body. It could be your body or anybody.
Hope you guys can hear Jimmy Ballard asking for a Team Hovercats shirt as part of the scavenger hunt for the juniors. If Harrison can hit a double colorless and a laser and a muscle band here, he will have the knockout.
All right, we have a winner. Team Hovercats shirt and a body.
But it looks like he's not going to be able to. Just going to go ahead and raid knuckle. He red knuckle the Prism onto the Absol. Oh, excuse me, was that attached from hand? Can't quite tell, but Mike Newman gets the rare candy into Blastoise, so could actually start getting a little something here.
This is a slow game.
It's been a very slow game, partially because of the 10 minutes of shuffling.
No, even excluding that, this has been just a very slow game. Just maybe it's the way they're playing. Maybe it's the shuffling for each deck randomization. But even beside the initial setup, just slow.
Yeah, I mean, this game especially, I've just been kind of plodding. You know what I mean? Harrison's only taken 1 prize. Mike is taken 0, and
We have a winner, Gengar Necklace.
just kind of been a little slow on both sides. They could actually, I don't even know what time is like, but they could very easily run into a draw here if they're not careful.
I'm curious if that's what they're aiming for.
Maybe.
I mean, it would not help either one of them to draw.
Yeah, they definitely want to go all in on wins here. In other news, 2011 United States National Champion Justin Sanchez is now 6-0-1, has secured his top 8 and his invitation to the 2014 World Championship.
Wow.
Congratulations to Justin. Justin came up here. He bared the 14-hour, I think it was, drive with Harrison to come up here and try and have a last shot at earning his invite. There's one more regional weekend left. That's in Toronto, Ontario, which I think is another couple hours from here from them. Maybe not that much, but neither of them wanted to run it back. So very, very proud of Justin for locking that up and getting to play in this year's Worlds. And an N from Mike. And he does have the necessary water energy to knock out that Thundurus with Black Kyurem EX. It looks like that's what he's going to do, reaching to retreat his Keldeo EX. Promoting that Black Kyurem. Catching the extra energy to that Keldeo, excuse me. I think if I'm Mike, I might just attach the extra energy to the Black Kyurem though. You're not in a range, well, I don't think you're really in a range to be knocked out. I guess that's a stretch. I didn't realize the Black Kyurem had damage on it. You're definitely can be knocked out at any moment. Apologies for that. Definitely the right play, Mike, to attach the energy to the Keldeo EX on the bench. Second Prism energy on the Absol. There's a bicycle for 1 card, and it's a Shauna.
But he's going for the N.
Yeah, in that situation, Harrison's drawing the same amount of cards either way. He might as well disrupt Mike's plan a bit.
Well, how many cards did Mike have in his hand?
I missed it, I'm not sure. He's going to have 4 now.
Yeah.
I would assume more than 4 because he took 2 prizes.
Yeah. Otherwise, Shauna would probably have been the play.
Yeah, if you can keep Mike on low amounts of cards, even lower than 4, then yeah, for sure. Both players shuffling up. Harrison Levin going to draw 5 cards. Mike going to draw 4. And there's the knockout. Harrison going down to 3 prizes, which is fine because, normally going down to 3 prizes is pretty bad for you because it requires that you knock out an EX and then take another prize on top of that, which oftentimes is another EX, which means you're essentially knocking out 4 EXs before you win the game rather than 3. But because of Harrison's running Lugia, that kind of changes everything, and Lugia can knock out an EX and then activate its ability Overflow to take an extra prize. So if at any time that Lugia can knock out an EX here, it will be the game. The unfortunate part, not the unfortunate part, but the part to watch out for if you're Harrison, and I'm sure he knows this, but for all of you watching at home, is you need to be very, very careful of when you play your Hypnotoxic Lasers, because if your opponent's active Pokemon gets knocked out, via the poison damage from Hypnotoxic Laser, you will not get the overflow bonus. You'll just take 2 prizes like normal. Because overflow reads that you take an extra prize when your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out via damage. Looks like Mike is considering what to discard off of his superior here. Discarding a rare candy and a beach. Both cards he's not going to really need more of later. Rare candy maybe if this Blastoise ends up getting knocked out, but typically you only need to get the 1 Blastoise on board. And the Tropical Beach isn't going to leave play anytime soon. I don't believe that Harrison plays. Does Harrison play Burbank City? Have we seen that yet? I honestly do not remember.
I think he runs a single Hypnotoxic Laser.
Okay. What about Burbank City?
What's that?
Burbank City Gym?
With running 1 laser, I would assume that he does not run.
What's that?
With only running 1 laser, assuming that that's what he actually is running, there'd be no reason to run Burbank.
True.
Because otherwise, I don't think we've seen Burbank at all in this series.
Jay Horning, Andrew Lee, Nicholas Bailey, Ryan Zamora, and Daniel Lopez. I need all 5 of you up front. Jay Horning, Andrew Lee, Nicholas Bailey.
Colress is the card selected for Mike, maybe? Looks like he's considering taking Juniper. Harrison's showing him that catcher there. Oh, so Harrison, if he gets the catcher heads, Harrison will have game. He can catcher the damaged Keldeo EX on the bench and get the Plasma Gale for 3 prizes and eliminate Mike Newman from this tournament and win the match. So there's a retreat. Even knowing that information, Mike only really has 1 choice, which is just hope Harry doesn't get it. There's the promotion, the draw step, the Pokemon catcher.
Oh, there it is.
Harrison Levin defeats Mike Newman. Both these guys having a little bit of fun. Harrison Levin defeats Mike Newman to move on to 5-2 at the Madison, Wisconsin Regional Championship. Congratulations to Harrison. I hope his top 8 run's going to go through. Oh, it's too bad to see Mike there getting eliminated from the top 8, and probably eliminated from his Worlds Invite unless he does very, very well at U.S. Nationals. But we'll be right back for the final round of Swiss.